and welcome to episode 105 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. We have a fantastic show planned for you. Please make sure if you're watching, hit that subscribe button right now on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We have 666 subscribers. I do not like seeing that number. Let's change that at least up 1, 10, 50 more people. Also, of course, hit that notification bell after you subscribe so you know a new content will arise. And then also smash that thumbs up button, which will tell YouTube that this is a great show to watch. You see my Twitter handle on my name tag at HKravitz. And of course, you can follow me through email on the bottom of the screen there at the scroll, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Of course, please make sure you subscribe to the HHH Racing Podcast Race Day blog. It's very inexpensive. You can do that through Patreon. There's also information not only on the tag there, but also below the video player in the description. You can find out how to join the Race Day blog with excellent ABC selections, spot plays, prize plays throughout the country every weekend. Highly recommend you go ahead and do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our special guest. I've been waiting to have him on for a long time. I have a ton of respect for this gentleman. He is an expert in the racing field. He's been covering racing for a long time. He's been with DRF, believe it or not, since 1998. So next year will be his 25th anniversary. We're going to ask him where the time went by. He's covered many tracks. He's been an international correspondent for DRF as well. And tonight, he's going to be talking about many things, including a fantastic pick six sequence on Saturday at Gulfstream. And they have a mandatory payout. That's right, a mandatory payout in their Rainbow pick six. It should be somewhere around 1.4 million on Saturday. I'm very proud and happy to bring on the one and only Marcus Hersh. Marcus, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm great. I'm blushing. I'm off my. I don't know. I'm shaken up by this intro. Mainly shaken up by the 25-year anniversary upcoming, which I just keep saying 20. I got stuck on 20.
I saw it 1998. I've a ton of respect for you, Marcus. I am actually a journalism major at heart, so I really appreciate good writing as well. And I cannot believe you've been doing it for that long. Where's the time gone by? It's crazy, isn't it?
It actually seems like 2 lifetimes. It's not gone fast for me at all.
I hear you. Well, I live in the Chicago area. For those of you, I'm about 20 minutes north of Arlington, which I know you covered Arlington for a long time. I don't want to start on a downer, but it is sort of a bummer that Arlington is no longer.
Well, may not be dead yet, Howard.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. You got some breaking news for us on the HHH?
I don't have any
podcast?
breaking news. I just have murmurs of speculation because the closing of the purchase agreement with the Bears is so distant. I know some people think that it's a leverage play on both sides. The Bears want concessions to stay in Soldier Field, and CDI wants concessions from the state, have better rate on a casino. So, I mean, we know they're not racing there in this year in 2022, but beyond that, it's not. I mean, all signs point to that, the last meet having taken place. But I suppose until we know for absolutely certain that there is a possibility.
I'll tell you, as my father used to say, God rest his soul, from your mouth to God's ears, that Arlington actually comes back and races again. That would be quite amazing. But we're going to talk about several things, Marcus. And again, we have a lot of viewers already watching the show live. Please make sure on the top right-hand part of the screen, folks, you type in that live chat. Any questions for Marcus Hersh? He is an expert in the horse racing world. He's going to give us a lot of information, not only just handicapping. Marcus, before we get into Gulfstream, there's several things that I'd like to talk to you about. And I know that you cover Arlington domestically, but you also cover Fairgrounds quite extensively, especially recently. Let's go ahead and start with Fairgrounds. You're going to see some questions on the bottom of the screen, Marcus. I gave you a heads up on. Talk a little bit about Fairgrounds racing and some of the early storylines that you've noticed so far. I have a few points here, but I'll let you go ahead and start with anything that comes to mind right away for you.
Struggling. I think it's been pretty rough. They have had like the multi-stakes card on December 26th, and the 27th was okay. That they ran a few stakes then too, but the 26th was CDI long has clustered stakes, as almost everyone does now. So they've got December, January, February, and March. The December is the new one, and those were okay. But like Oaklawn started earlier, which is in pressure on the horse population in New Orleans. But seeing the fields at Turfway and the people that are there, that's been another. And the purses for Kentucky breds are way, way higher than at Fairgrounds. And I don't know. I mean, it's just all coming together to make it. I just don't think that there have been that many compelling races or that many exciting young horses run so far. I expected more. I was a little surprised. What's really caught my attention is the turf racing. With Churchill having no turf course in the fall, I thought that would be a big boon to the Fairgrounds meet with people having turf horses piled up ready to run. But I mean, it's just been the opposite. There's a lot of these turf races aren't filling well at all. We'll see what happens. Things should start picking up. There's still a lot of really good horses there. Horses that haven't run yet. I think the January multi-stakes card is going to be really good for what it is. It's not the Breeders' Cup or Belmont Stakes Day, but it's still going to be some really good horses for January at Fairgrounds. And the stars are trickling back in after winter vacations, and the ones probably started seeing those more in February. Echo Zulu, for instance, maybe could be in the Rachel Alexandra in February. Juju's Map, who comes out of the Breeders' Cup Juveniles, and she'll be down there. She won't be ready till later. And then Hidden Connection, who was disappointing for Brett Calhoun in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She could run in the Rachel Alexandra too. And in January, that Louisiana Stakes, which is just the first, it's on the road to the New Orleans Classic, but that has a compelling matchup between Midnight Bourbon and Mandaloon, who hasn't run since the Haskell. Both those horses should be running in that race.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about those horses in a minute because there are several U.S.-based horses that will be traveling over to the Middle East, which is, you're certainly very, you've great experience with horses overseas.
I do Dubai as well. So, and they're starting their World Cup Carnival next week. Lots of stuff happening over there too.
We'll be talking about that. We have great viewers on the show. One of them is Jim. It says Caroline, but it's actually Jim. You touched on this a little bit. I could see you're shaking your head. Jim, it doesn't look like Marcus sees anyone right now, but of course at any time, especially on a given Saturday, a horse could pop up and be a factor. I will say, before you answer this question directly, Marcus, there's a horse I'm very, very, very interested in that has been racing in California that I'm almost positive will come to the Fairgrounds for the Triple Crown Trail, and that's Oviatt Class, who's trained by the DeSormo, by DeSormo, and this horse, this horse is a closer. This horse does not fit California at all, Jim. I cannot wait to get this horse in a long stretch in Fairgrounds. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Marcus, but I just want to mention Oviatt Class is a very interesting horse that might come out of New Orleans and be a factor.
I had the same thought. Keith DeSormo has the string there, and he just ran last weekend. He had no chance in that slow-paced race, and he doesn't suit racing there. But the weird thing is, and this is another Fairgrounds storyline, he might not suit racing at Fairgrounds this meet either. There's been more speed horses win this meet than I can ever remember on dirt. It's been really tough to make up ground if you're not in position at the top of the stretch on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, there are exceptions, but the general trend, very much so. I guess Epicenter is worth a mention. The horse that won the inaugural Gun Runner in December, because he's a progressive horse for Steve Asmussen, and he won at a 1-turn mile second out at Churchill and easily handled the 2 turns. The competition wasn't especially stern, but he did it pretty nicely and looked like he has more development left. Is he like a real Derby horse? Doubtful, but he's probably the best we've seen. Another one, just to throw out there, is this horse Trafalgar for Al Stahl. I think he's supposed to run also in the Lecomte. He was a nice winner at Fairgrounds as well. Al Stahl is a very patient trainer and has taken his time with him. Skipped the Gun Runner to wait for the Lecomte. And another horse who hasn't run yet, but is also supposed to run in the Comte is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile runner-up, Papa Cap for Mark Casse, who was, he developed considerably through his 2-year-old season. He had a little break, worked some at Casse Farm, and has been at Fairgrounds for a little while now. He's worked at least twice there. He's set for the Lecomte as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of nice horses on the grounds at Fairgrounds. We're going to talk about a few.
They just don't run there, Howard. That's the only thing.
Yeah, well, some of them will be running out in the Middle East, as we're going to talk about. I think there are a few positives I want to mention quickly, and if you don't think these are positives, of course, feel free to comment. The purses are going up.
Yes.
I think it was announced last week, but to be, I don't want to get into the politics of CDI and whatever, but frankly, compared to, Churchill and the Kentucky circuit, they've been pathetically low. So the fact that they're going up is great, but really they're not on par with Kentucky.
Sure.
Ray Gutierrez, I had him on the show right before the Breeders' Cup because we were talking about Hidden Connection. I cannot say enough good things about Ray Gutierrez, Marcus. I mean, you've seen a lot of jockeys in your day. He's a bit of a late bloomer. I mean, we're not going to go through the whole story, but he's got to be impressing you, I would assume, down there in terms of the jockey colony.
Well, yeah, he's a late bloomer because he got such a late start. He didn't even start riding till after he went to college. He had that December 26th and 27th, he had that huge weekend. I think he won 5 stakes races. But he was really, actually wrote, it wasn't a full-blown feature, but it was kind of like a feature note on him. I talked to him shortly after that. And I guess the key point in the story was he was a successful apprentice, but then he just kind of didn't have anything to, he didn't have a fundamental grounding for a couple of years. Didn't really know what his circuit was going to be, where his career was going. And that really kind of all changed in 2020. He went to Texas, strangely, because he had never even been in Texas. And I think that for whatever reason, he got in with a couple of barns, and that kind of led to a breakout year for him in 2020. He is older, but I do think he's a natural lightweight. He's strong. He's smart. He works hard from everything I've heard, and studies hard, and looks pretty good on a horse. Very aggressive. Is he going to win an Eclipse Award? I doubt it, but I think that, I think he's got a chance to succeed on the Kentucky circuit and wherever he decides to go for the winter.
I love his aggressiveness. I'm just so sick and tired of betting New York turf races in the summer where they're going 25.
If only it were just New York.
I know it is an epidemic, but not from Raylu, because that guy is ones with some prices on the lead. One other quick comment about Fairgrounds, and then we'll move on. A horse that I absolutely loved, and I talked about in this show, and I have no qualms about mentioning him. In the Derby, Obesos did come back and win. I didn't see the buyer. I don't know if you know the buyer off the top.
95, I believe.
Oh wow, that's actually better than I thought. Because I was about to say I didn't think it was super impressive. Where do you see Obesos in the handicap division this upcoming year?
Well, I talked to the trainer before the race, but on after. But the trainer did talk to Fairgrounds Publicity, and he's talking about cutting the horse back in distance. So
really,
yeah, he said. I mean, I think he attributed the narrow margin of victory over the youthful but hardly superstar Intrepid Heart, who I think was 8th in the 2019 Belmont, if I remember right. I think he thought it was because he just didn't quite see it out more than he was not ready. I mean, I could see him being successful as a late running sprinter or miler. He's an orb. Don't see a lot of orbs like that want to run that far. You don't see a lot of orbs that want to do much running generally. He may be the best of them. But so if he cuts him back, I don't know where he goes like right now, like, cause doesn't seem like a 6 furlong horse. And I don't know. We'll see.
I haven't heard. We're going to talk about some of the horses going in the Middle East. I mean, there's some nice mile races that are one turn and Meydan leading up. I suppose if they thought that highly of him, I suppose they could do that route. But I agree. I don't really know else where they would go with him.
That would make a ton of sense. And that's a good point. I will ask that of the connections at some point here. Greg Foley he hasn't traveled horses ever really, and doesn't even ship that much. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, he did win. He did win. I think the sort of breakout performance a little bit was a 6 furlong.
Yes.
I don't know if he broke his main or was an allowance where he came from the clouds and just blew.
Yeah.
By the
No.
field.
He looked like he did show some signs of having that capability to him.
Yeah.
I could see it really. It just a question is like you brought him back now, and all the races now are kind of 2 turns that are of significance. So I mean, maybe you could go to Gulfstream. You want to send a 1 run closer to Gulfstream? I don't know. And they don't have like super rich, like those are 100,000s, you know?
See Money on the show just talking about Jose Santos doing a fantastic job as a jockey agent, and JW thanks for joining the show. He has improved a lot. There's no question about it. Props to him
Agreed.
for working that out. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about. Now, you've covered races in Asia over the years too. I just want to mention a horse that I think is really not getting enough not getting enough talk here in the United States, because I'm fascinated. I've been I've been watching following races for about 30 years, Marcus, and I'd say over the last 10 to 15, I've really tried to broaden my horizons and pay attention to overseas racing. And the racing in Hong Kong and Asia, I think you would agree overall, the quality has continued to get better. I think we saw it in the Breeders' Cup an example where a horse, two horses won. And we're going to watch a replay before I let you talk about Golden 60, if you don't mind. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a replay of Golden 60. Now, some of you might wonder who's Golden 60. Let me tell you something. This is a special horse. We're going to watch the last 30 seconds approximately of the Hong Kong Mile right now with sound.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to watch. I'm actually going to go full screen, Marcus. The number 2 right here on the back of the pack is Golden 60. Watch Golden 60 win for the 16th time, I believe, in a row, the Hong Kong Mile.
Around order of Australia, a length away, White Cuckoo from Mighty Giant Southern Legend. Golden 60, he starts his run up 3 wide. He has 5 lengths to make up from Romanized and Simply Brilliant. Carrying Star, Admire Mars, Beauty Generations up at them 3 wide. White Cuckoo, Golden 60 outside of the 5. Admire Mars leads. White Cuckoo, Golden 60. Beauty Generations going a big race. Golden 60, he's hit the front now. He's half a length on White Cuckoo. He goes full beast mode. He's out by 3. Golden 60. Southern Legend runs on. This equine wrecking ball has demolished another field.
This equine wrecking ball.
What about
that? Was a great call. I mean, how much fun is Golden 60 to watch right now, Marcus?
He goes full beast mode. It's pretty good.
Full beast mode. I love it.
So you're right. 16 races in a row.
Yeah.
I have to say that really it was only in his last 2 races that that I've started to become a true believer, because he has not faced the best opposition. He hasn't traveled. All his races are in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But what he's done in the last 2, his comeback race, I'll put on my glasses here to see the sectional times, which I pulled up. His third 400 meters, 21:69, and then he proceeded to go 21:51 to close that race off. That's his first race after a layoff. And then in the race we just saw, he went 22:43, so relatively slow. I think the course was slower for that. But the point is, the horse has just got he's got the most devastating turn of foot you could imagine. I don't like the way he's been ridden a lot of the time. The one time they let him show a little speed was the only time he's lost in his whole career. He's 18 for 19. You'd love to see him get a better position, but maybe he just he can't handle it mentally. Hong Kong racing is just it's a breed apart. I didn't get it at all when I first started covering it, because I didn't understand how the local horses were so good when other horses would come in to the big races, and seemed like they were better horses on form. But there are a lot of particularities in the way races are run, and when horses get in a rhythm there in a zone. I mean, we had Beauty Generation was the last superstar. I think he won 13 in a row. He was awesome too. He was a speed horse, same division, a miler. This horse won up to 1.25 miles. That's because he ran in the Hong Kong Derby over 2,000 meters, just part of the 4-year-old championship series. But I think the horse is special, super special. He's the best horse in Hong Kong by about 100 lengths. just a more general sense, I don't know what has happened the last couple of years. The elite horses have really fallen off. There's a huge gap between Golden 60 and anyone else in the jurisdiction right now. But there's a chance he goes to Japan in 2022 to take on some better horses on their home turf there. Love to see it. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Beauty Generation didn't ever travel. A lot of the Hong Kong owners are perfectly happy seeing their horses win all the big races at home at their home track at Sha Tin. Maybe that's what they'll do. But if he goes abroad, that's going to be must-see middle of the night race watching.
I'd love to see him go to Europe. I don't know. I mean, he's a 6-year-old gelding.
That's not going to happen.
Okay, he's Australian bred. I can dream. He's Australian bred. I think he's out of by Medaglia d'Oro, I believe.
He's got an American. He's by Medaglia d'Oro out of Distorted Humor mare.
Yeah,
he has an
Breeders'
American
Cup Mile
pedigree.
Maybe at Keeneland in November. What do you think, Marcus?
It's the wrong. The Hong Kong horses will never come like that. The most you can hope for is Dubai, and they had gone to Dubai regularly in March because that's during the middle of their season, and it's not that tough a shit. But they've already kind of mooted that. There's not a race for him anyway. The Dubai turf is a mile and an eighth, which is a little outside of his range. So
yeah, well, he's a fun horse to watch. I had a big bet on Loves Only You in the Breeders' Cup that I talked about a lot, and he's retired, or she's retired, excuse me.
Yeah, she was awesome.
What a great story she was as well, and backed up the Breeders' Cup. Race as well. All right, one other topic conversation I think we need to discuss here before we talk about Gulfstream. Talk about before I even talk about horses. I've never been to the Middle East for horse racing. I've actually been to Israel once when I was much younger, but obviously wasn't there for horse racing. Talk a little bit about how special it is. I don't know if you've been to Saudi Arabia for the races there, but talk about Meydan a little bit and just the whole experience. The racetrack looks unbelievable. It's just first class all the way.
I have not been to Saudi Arabia. I am contemplating a trip this year because I think there are going to be a lot of good horses there. Mishrif could come back too.
My son.
Dubai, I have been to more times than I can remember. When I was at Nad Al Shiba several times before they switched to Meydan, and the first few times I went were pretty cool. It's not my favorite place to go. Just generally speaking, it's a kind of it's an unusual society.
There's restrictions,
bifurcation. It's not, kind of just grew up out of nothing, and there's very little old, a lot of new. The racing, it's been really fun. I enjoy seeing the horses travel there, and getting to see. There's been a lot of good horses that aren't even Americans come there. I guess the highlight for me recently was seeing Almondai from Japan, who won the Dubai Turf. Just getting to watch all the different horses train in the morning, see how the horses they do. So the training so much different, and the way the horses look and they're prepared. And they've they've made a pretty successful thing there. In if you think about it, and try to contextualize it historically, having a big major racing season, in Dubai, in the middle of winter in the Northern Hemisphere, when most horses, and they rely a lot on Europeans, obviously, most of those horses are getting breaks. So it's taken a lot of work and a lot of time, but they have a solid circuit. They have pretty decent racing week to week during the carnival. It's been a little slower during COVID. But I think they're going to have a decent season, and I suspect the World Cup is going to come a pretty good race this year.
Well, before I talk about the World Cup, I just want to mention the viewers at home, and I did a little research, and I'm sure you have some good intel as well. Here are some horses, folks, that I have heard through. This is not just through the grapevine. I mean, it's been published, etc. That are looking to go to the Saudi Cup, which I think is $20 million. It's in February. It's the horse that was, Marcus, I started the show in January of last year, and my first tweet that I ever sent out ever my entire life was in late January, and like my 5th tweet ever was, I think I like Mischief quite a bit in the Saudi Cup. And by the way, he was 19-1 if you remember that day against Charlton and Knicks Go, and that was sort of so Mischief. I have a soft spot in my heart. He sort of gave me my breakthrough in terms of being known a little bit, at least on Twitter and on this podcast. But here's some horses that are planning on going to the Saudi Cup as of now. And again, this is just tentative. The U.S. based horses: Mandaloon, Art Collector, Midnight Bourbon. For those 3 look like they're going. I haven't heard anything about Flightline. I think this race hits Flightline right between the eyes. I know the main goal for Flightline, Marcus, is the Met Mile, longer term, but going from 7 to a mile and 1/8 on a 1 turn with his speed, I think he would be absolutely deadly there. Any early thoughts on any of those horses I mentioned? Mandaloon, Art Collector, Midnight Bourbon, maybe even a Flightline.
I don't think Flightline will be going.
Okay.
I'd be surprised. But Life is Good has been mentioned.
Really? Even after, that's a pretty quick turnaround after the Pegasus.
You got a month. That Knicks Go did it last year.
Okay. I'd love to see that.
I think it's set up to fall between the Pegasus and the Dubai World Cup. And I think if you've got a winter campaign going, it makes sense to go there. I don't know that I haven't talked to Pletcher or any of the connections, but the Saudi Cup publicity team, which is wants to just cast a very wide net, shall we say, in terms of possibilities. They did mention him in a release, and he's priced up on Antipost, which means basically nothing as well.
Well, right.
But that would be fabulous. Mandaloon, if he runs, if everything goes well with him, that's been his goal all along. And Asmussen is going to bring more horses than just Midnight Bourbon. He ran Cohen, however you say it. He ran him there last year and might have had another horse, but he'll have those are rich undercard races. He'll have some other horses. And I would suspect, I haven't done any legwork on this either, but there will be a decent sized American contingent going, not just for the newly Group 1 Saudi Cup, but the rich undercard races as well.
It'll be fun. And then you mentioned Dubai. You'll be covering that for DRF as well. I've heard, again, no guarantees. Mystic Guide will be pointing there. I know Hot Rod Charlie's pointing there. In fact, Doug O'Neill has a whole string of horses I believe he's sending out to Dubai. That also should be a fascinating race.
Well, O'Neill had a string there 2 winters ago, I believe. And Hot Rod Charlie is going to run and a prep before the World Cup. So that's,
I think round 2, I think he's run round 2 of the Maktoum Challenge, right? I believe.
Okay. I didn't see the details. So that would be in February, and then he gets a little breather instead of, because the round 3 is just 3 weeks. So that's kind of tight. And you would expect if Mandaloon does well, he'd be a horse that would go back for more, and Midnight Bourbon, because Asmussen does run in Dubai too, and he would. I'm sure that would be a goal for him as well.
Well, there's about $30 million combined between those 2 races of reasons why to run in both. So I'm surprised more horses don't. I know it's very demanding to do that, Marcus, but that is the money is just insane out there right now. It's just unbelievable.
We'll see about Mystic Guide. He hasn't run since summer, and he's down in New Orleans. He's been a little slow to come back, and they're not going to rush it with him at all. We got to see him, get in a prep race first and see where he is. Obviously, he won it last year, and they'd love to go back. Sure. He's the house horse, so we'll see what
it's
happens.
It's going to be fascinating. We look forward to your coverage of Meydan. I always like watching the races in Meydan. And folks, if you're going to be betting Meydan, especially on World Cup night, you got to watch some of these prep races, whether you watch them live or whether you watch the replays. They're really fascinating to see, and it's a fantastic circuit. Marcus, let's go ahead and get into the Gulfstream racing and handicapping. I'm going to go ahead and bring up DRF Formulator, because that's what I like the most. I think it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring up my glasses.
Whoops, I took off both of us by accident there. I didn't want to do that. There we go. All right. So I'm going to bring up Marcus has been very busy, folks. So you're just going to see my picks on the screen, but of course Marcus is definitely going to talk about the races as well. We'll talk about race 6 just very briefly, and the reason why this sort of a last second change, Marcus, that you're aware of course, is because for people that don't know, Gulfstream announced, I think it was yesterday, literally, I don't know, towards the end of the card yesterday, that they are going to pay out their mandatory the Rainbow Pick Six will be a mandatory payout, assuming no one hits it. I didn't look today, but I'm assuming no one hit it today or tomorrow. And it's going to be at least 1.4 million going into it. I'm guessing, Marcus, just based on experience and what I've seen down there, you're talking about $4 or $5 million into the pool, and it's only a 20-cent bet, so it's a great one for players who have a little bit of a lower budget to get involved. Very quickly, race 6 is the first leg of the pick 6, and then we're going to talk about the late pick 5 races a lot more. It's a mile on turf. It's restricted 3-year-olds, $50,000 optional claimers. Who'd you like in this first leg of the pick 6, Marcus?
Wait, do I have the wrong race up? Race 6?
Race 6 is the beginning of the pick 6. I don't know if you took
on 1/8/2022.
Yes.
I got a 35,000 N2L claimer.
I'm sorry, my bad. You're right. There you go. This, folks, welcome to live. This is why we got Marcus on the show. My bad. I was on the 11th race. I was looking at the last race before we came on the show. Greatly apologize. Sure. Let's try this one. How about a mile 16th, 4-year-olds and up, 35 down to 25. Now winners of 2. Now, Marcus, who do you like?
I hate this race. If I'm playing the pick 6, I'm casting as wide a net as I can.
Sure.
I don't like the 7. He's in it for dirt, most likely. And there's rain. If it's off turf, Savoy number 7 is clearly a key player. I don't like the 1. And let's see. I had like 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 as all possible users. I mean, Maker has been terrible at Gulfstream and at Fairgrounds. Recently, he's got 2 horses in, the first claimed one, and the tackle horse, this 3, who's probably going to be the favorite. That horse has no edge on several others in here to me.
No.
If pressed on a top pick, I kind of like Kimmel's horse that he's stretching out, Propensity, number 5. He's had some favorable Gulfstream experience against better horses. His form doesn't look that great on the surface, but he's running for more than the claiming price, and he's on a steady work pattern. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on him, but I think he's a fair odds kind of horse. And this 1/18 horse on the outside, Holy Emperor, if there's any kind of pace, he should improve. Ran decent first time for the trainer, first time back from a break. He's got IRAD that hurts your price a little, but again, to me, I'm spreading here.
Yeah, I want to show a replay, and Marcus, as I told you through email, feel free to, if you any replays you request. We're not going to show a lot of replays tonight because, we have a time constraint here, but there's a replay I think you have to watch, folks, and that's my top choice, the number 8 in this race, Maker of an Empire. We're going to watch just the stretch run. There's a lot of horses you can see. Holy Emperor, who is the 9, Caribbean Gold, who's the 4, I believe the 4 on Saturday, and then the horse I like, Maker of an Empire. I just want to show the stretch. Watch the 5, 6, and 8, but especially the 8, who was also going to be the 8 on Saturday, Maker of an Empire. I'm just going to take it to the stretch where I thought he got blocked and really had a lot of trouble. We're going to take it. Let me take it back a little bit here. So Maker of an Empire, you're going to see is right here coming into the screen. And I thought this was some, I don't even know if you could say sneaky. He's a little bit of a pace type. It doesn't have a lot of acceleration, but you can see where he's sort of in between horses and he tried to make a run. And look at the hands of the jockeys waiting. Look at this. Just waiting, absolutely nowhere to go. Again, he doesn't have like a lightning quick acceleration, but he absolutely could not find a hole. And now he's trying to come on, but then the 9 is sort of blocking him on the outside a little bit. And you see he's just sort of running on in hand. I think this was a sneaky bad trip a little bit, Marcus. And in a race that's completely wide open, these are the kind of horse I'm interested in looking at. We could have gone back further, but again, he got a little bit of a trip. He's got Saez on, and I like Junior Alvarado, Marcus, but Saez is riding fantastic for Mark Cassie. Second off the layoff, hasn't raced only one race since March. I don't know. It's a wide open race. I'm a little bit interested.
He'd be one of my top choices. And what I did notice is that when they brought him back from the long break, even though he'd been running for 35,000 before the layoff, it was a waiver claiming. So
explain that to people who are not familiar with that means, Marcus.
I mean, a lot of places do this now, where if a horse is coming back from a layoff of a certain length, they're allowed to enter in a claiming race, but the horse is not eligible to be claimed. So, I mean, that obviously tells you they didn't want the horse to be claimed, and they're going to try to win a race with him. They thought he would improve second time out, theoretically.
But yeah, people on the show know this. I'm not sure you're familiar with this, Marcus. I usually play an ABC ticket. I do show a caveman straight ticket at the end of the show, just because it's simpler and it's easier for some of our beginning viewers to understand. But just so you folks know at home, if you're interested in seeing my ABC Pick 6 ticket, it will be on my race day blog. So again, another reason why you should be very interested in purchasing that. Marcus, I've got in no particular order. Actually, my A's are 2-8. And I've got 3, 5, 7, 9 as B's. I threw the 7 in there just in case he can take to the turf. I really have no idea. He's got turf work, but he's got numbers. It's just the race that is wide open. And by the way, folks, and Marcus touched on it, this 3 got a very good trip last time. I don't understand the 5-2, Marcus. This is the first, like literally half an hour was the first time I saw the morning lines. I wouldn't touch this horse at 4-1. I mean, you have to be 5 or 6-1 for me to put a win bet on him. He can win. That's just horrible value, in my opinion.
Well, if the line is right, and it may be, it may be. I mean, this is a tough line to make. Anyway,
tough race.
Again, I don't want to. If I'm playing, and I don't know if I am yet, I'm not leading on anyone there.
Puig, thanks for joining the show. Said there might be some rain if the turf races go to the Tapeta. He calls it tapioca Tapeta. We don't know. I mean. The racing.
That's right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, racing in Florida is tricky. It's hard to say exactly. We'll just have to see with the weather. I didn't see that much rain, to be honest, but you know.
No, I think, and it's not a great chance. It looks like the standard, maybe not, but probably not enough to take them off. Fingers crossed.
That's what I thought. All right, let's go to leg 2, the pick 6. This is the first race of the pick 5. It's one of these races. We talked about breakthrough, horses on the Derby Trail. These are one of these kind of races that might produce that. You never know. It's for newly turned 3-year-olds. They're going a mile, main special weight. That's a one-turn mile, similar to Arlington and some other tracks. Price is $60,000. There's some very, very well-meant first-time starters. Marcus, who did you fancy in the start of this pick 5?
I like the 2 Charge It for Pletcher. And then as far as A's, I have 2-3 as A's. They got the line has Calipari, the 6 is the 3-1 favorite over Charge It. I mean, I watched all the works that were available for both horses, and on works, from what I could tell, I mean, Charge It looks like a much stronger prospect. I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, Pletcher's winning everything. It's absolutely out of control.
I'm sorry
this horse,
did you see?
He
I'm
was
sorry to interrupt you.
In a sale.
I'm sorry. Was that a workout report? Or did you actually see the works yourself, video through XBTV or some other avenue?
Oh no, I watched the works on XBTV. I look every horse that I'm interested in. I just do a search and see if there are any works for them.
Sorry,
and Palm Beach Downs is pretty good. They have a lot of work. Yeah, they have a lot of works for there. I mean, I look at the workout reports here and there, but unless I see it for myself, I'm just a skeptic by heart. But this horse did work good. I mean,
on those workouts.
Well, the Charge It horse is like, he worked really good. I think there was just one for him, and it was the Bullet on the 27th. Very nice looking work. Did it easily. And I don't remember who the workmate was. Nobody of great consequence, but he blew his doors off. Calipari had 2 works.
So he was not in company with Calipari then, is that right? He was not in company with Calipari on those 2 days?
Calipari had 2 no, not on the 27th. No, he didn't work with him then. It wasn't Calipari.
We don't know about
they didn't work together.
Okay.
Yeah, the Calipari had 2 works, and one of them was in the fog, but so it was a little hard to see. The one in the fog, he worked better than the earlier one, which was November 20. I don't know, but he just didn't. He didn't look like the same class of horse. That's minimal information that I have, but I did fancy Charge It more. At Touch Code ran into one of the Pletcher maiden winners of the meet, Emmanuel, who was very sharp in that victory. Didn't get a huge number, but I think Pletcher won two first-time starters that day, one sprint and this mile. And the sprint got a bigger number, but I liked Emmanuel a lot better. And this horse, Vermont, Touch Code, he was inside the whole time, and he was about to get shuffled back at the half-mile pole, so the jockey had to ask him a little, and he had instant acceleration, then made another move inside on the turn. He's got some gears. Mott, when they show some talent at any point in their debut, you got to think that they can run a little because he's not cranking them at all. This is the sort of horse that can improve a lot second time out. So I had the 2 and the 3, and then I was just I'm kind of against Calipari just from what I saw. And I had 1B horse, which was the Rusty Arnold horse, Bernie Lomax, who debuted in the slop, went evenly, and should be better going longer. And now Arnold does not do great things with these young horses coming from Kentucky to Florida, but sometimes one of them will pop. I did watch Trending. He had at One Breeze. It was at the gate work. He's got a very, very turfy action, and the Dam was a turf horse too.
Nice horse.
I know.
Theory.
Yeah, he's got some bullets and blah blah blah. I thought they were practicing for a turf race, but we'll see.
Yeah, and McGay does not have great numbers going long first time. A few stats for those at home that I thought would find interesting. I know Marcus is not going to find this surprising regarding Pletcher. Last 5 years, Pletcher, first time out on the dirt sprinting, 27%. First time going a route of ground, last 5 years, 16%. So he obviously can do it, but he is, better sprinting.
There's a key differentiator though, and that's the 1-turn mile is different than a true route.
Absolutely.
So I know in Formulator, like you could look up the exact distance, but that's
I didn't have time
different.
To do that. That's an excellent point.
No, I just think that it makes some difference because a lot of those horses are going to be like 2-turn. I mean, they're going to be 2-turn races, which is a different ball game. I think the 1-turn like extended sprint at Gulfstream he's pretty sharp at that.
The only question I have, and then we're going to move on. The reason, you gave me info on Charge It, so I'll upgrade Charge It based on, and I'm going to watch XBTV replays. Saez is on Charge It. Irad is on Calipari. Irad's coming off a 30-day layoff. I don't like to play the jockey musical chairs game, but you would think Irad would be on the better one, or am I just crazy?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
All right, that'll be interesting. So again, Marcus, if you can watch XBTV, folks, please do that because I've watched a lot of replays on there. I haven't had time. I'm a full-time school teacher, so I haven't had time to do the deep dive, but I will be taking a look at that. All right, let's go on to the race 9. Otherwise, we'll be here forever.
Or race 8. Let's go to race 8.
I'm sorry, boy.
No worries.
Mistakes. That's too, Marcus. I apologize. All right,
no worries.
I have a very, and this is why I love having experts like you on the show to tell me how wrong I am here, because I have a very, very strong opinion in this race. You could probably tell.
So already. Do I.
You could tell me already by my picks. This is the Grade 3 Tropical Turf. It's the only graded stakes on the card. They're going a mile. It's for 100,000. This is not. Let me repeat. This is not a prep for the big Pegasus Turf race because that's only 3 weeks. They already had a prep race for that. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. It's worth mentioning because the one that is second choice that will take a lot of money that I'm completely against on the win end is the one Largent for Todd Pletcher. Who do you like in this race, Marcus?
I love Largent.
I love it. Are you being serious or are you joking?
I am being serious.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Why are you against him?
So, first of all, I think he's going to be favored over value proposition.
I totally agree. I think he's going to be like hammered.
That's one reason. Number two, and listen, I can be a chalky weasel just like anyone else. This is a year layoff. This is not like a 3 month layoff. This is a full year layoff. Number two. Number three, he raced huge last year, right? He almost beat Colonel Liam. I mean, he was fantastic at this point in the season last year. This cannot possibly be a prep for the Pegasus Turf because it's only in 3 weeks. I just don't. I think he missed his opportunity to run. If he ran 2 weeks ago in that prep race, I'd be a lot more interested. I don't like the layoff. I don't like the low price. I think he's working fine. The works don't look anything special. I'll have to look at a workout report. Um, you know, I guess he can be up close to the pace, but he's more of a I don't know if he's a closer. But I don't like the price. I don't like the year layoff. I don't like the fact he's running here instead of a prep for the Pegasus. I'm going to try to beat him. I could be completely wrong though.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say. Pletcher is awesome with long layoffs. And this horse, if you look at this horse, he is better when he's fresh. Like after he can run 1 or 2 races and then he starts losing it. But his first race back and his debut have been his best races. And he loves Gulfstream. And I did watch his works that were available. He's been working very forwardly. He's ready to go.
Okay.
I will say this. He worked with Colonel Liam once, and Colonel Liam absolutely destroyed him. Colonel Liam is going to be a monster when he comes back. I'm sure he's going to run straight into the Pegasus, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. This is great information. I can't disagree with what you're saying. Obviously, the layout. From start 2 to 3, Marcus. I don't mean to be give you a hard time, but start 2 to 3, he was obviously much younger. Age-wise, number one. Number two, that was just May to January. This is another. He's 6, and it's I don't know. I'm just getting some bad vibes, and I hate the price. But he can win.
No,
obviously, he can win.
The price is terrible. I don't think the line is right. I think he's going to be solidly favored, and I would never play him to win. But I do think he's going to win.
Okay.
Value proposition is a nice horse on his day. He goes between longer sprints and miles. He can go 2 turns. Like his Red Bank was solid. Not much of a field that he beat there. And he's been on the go since April. He can run better than he did last time. But he doesn't have much upside on the day to me. I felt like the other horse has been aimed for this spot since they, started him going again.
Completely agree with everything you just said. I have no argument with any of that. The layoff scares me with the one.
Yeah, a long layoff like this with Pletcher when he comes back in a stakes race, I actually like. It's a bad field. There is a little pace. Flying Scotsman is very fast, and there's this Call Kurt horse. I think they're going to go fast enough to spread the field a little bit, and it's going to end up working out. Largen's going to work out a good trip from saving ground. I'll tell you the one horse that interested me just a tiny bit, and that's Fat Man.
Yep.
Because Nicole's dream, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, she was an absolute star turf sprinter.
There you go.
And so this horse, I think they're not just in it for a rain off because it's Tapeta anyway, and they worked him on the grass. That work is not available, unfortunately. And he ran. If you go back and look at his turf races, they're kind of distant. They were very early, and then he had another couple. He ran in the Super Derby when it was on turf. I think he ran second behind Mr. Misunderstood.
Yeah, it's on the screen. He ran the Hawthorne Derby. It was crazy.
That's a throwout. That was an absolute bog. That was a joke of a race.
But look at the start of his career, they thought he was a turf horse. If you go back all the way, this is why you got to do deep dives, right, Marcus? If you're gonna do your work.
Right. Yeah, if you see that he ran 5 times on turf and none of them are in your 12-line PPs, for goodness sake, get on Formulator and look at the lifetime PPs.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it's probably not going to work out. He had a good run over the summer. He was pretty good. He's probably not going to beat the 2. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like him enough to tout him.
Listen, I've got just I wanted home. I've got large on my pick six ticket. I'm not crazy enough to completely toss this horse. I have him as a B. I'm just trying to beat him on the A line. That's all. And
Well, I mean,
if I'm
if
wrong,
you're
I'm wrong.
against
That's
him,
okay.
you should probably just be against him if you're against him.
Well, I don't want to lose a $5,000 pick six because I didn't use this horse. So,
I
but
guess.
I mean, when I say against Marcus, I mean based on the value. I guess is really I should
Sure.
clarify.
But
So,
in the pick six, I'm singling him because I got
okay.
these last 3 races are tough.
Yes, let's go talk about them. Race 9, as I go ahead and switch over. 6 furlongs. This is state bred, 4 and up, optional claiming for 12, non-winners of 1. There are 2 horses that are pretty low, and Marcus, I don't know if you saw the morning lines because they came out,
I
today.
did.
The morning, and I just saw them literally, a half an hour before the show. I like the 7 and the 8, but I think 9 to 5 is a little crazy on twice too many. Who'd you like in this race?
I'm pitching him. He's going to get bet off those numbers. He's got big figures. There's nothing previously in his form to indicate that's a sustainable performance level. He also doesn't stay 6 furlongs. If you look, like his last 2 were 5.5, and that there's a reason for that because he gets tired going 6 furlongs. There's going to be a lot of speed in this race. I think everything close to it's going to get sucked along. I'm favoring horses who are a little bit off. If I had to make a top pick, it would be Mish for Safi Joseph, who second time Safi, first time in Florida Safi. Bullet work. I didn't see the work, so it's just a bullet work. Doesn't mean anything. If you look, he has shown a lot of speed, but his big win from an inside draw like this, granted it was the slop, but he still was inside and he came from a stalking position and was able to split horses, and get up. So he doesn't have to get in a speed duel if it comes to that. And then what else did I have here? Oh, 6 and 9.
That 10 to 1 with Irad and Sophie.
It's not going to be 10 to 1. That's
I
ridiculous.
don't want to be too harsh with morning line guys, but I mean, I think if you get half of that, I think you'll be lucky.
Yeah, but for pick six purposes, it gets you get a little bit better price. I think that the Mary Epler claimed horse is interesting. The 6 Doo-Wop Don. Yeah. I mean, he's way up in class, but he's just smoked him 3 times in a row. And he can sit back a little bit too. And then I had the 9 also as a horse who could sit back and make one run. He's kind of stinks, but his only Florida bred race was that turf race, and he's not a turf horse. So and he's got a couple races from last year that look like he could improve off of his first couple starts back from a break.
Yeah.
And then
I've got the 9 in the mix. You don't like the 7 either.
I do. I have 2, 3, 7 as B's just as far as that goes. 2, 3, 7.
Maybe I'm just getting sucked in with the numbers on the 8, but it's Paco, and I think he's going to get a good trip. But you make a good point. I don't know about the 6. This is definitely a spread. I just think at Gulfstream you want the speed, and it seems like to me that's going to be the 7 and the 8. Although they could get caught up in a speed duel, and I agree with you, Marcus. I like the 1 also. I have no idea about this morning line. I think Irad's just going to let the speed go.
I do too.
And play the break, and then he could just come around. I mean, and I think he's got a bullet work. Again, 10 to 1. There's no way we're going to get that. Any other thoughts before we move on?
No other thoughts. But again, I got 6 horses A and B, so obviously it's not a leaning race for me at all.
Yeah, I thought it was a tough race. I'm spread there for sure. Race 10. This is the penultimate leg of the pick 5 and pick 6. They're going 6 furlongs again, 4-year-olds and up. These are for fillies, optional claim in 25, non-winners of 1. Who'd you like in race 10, Marcus?
Well, this one I think really has a lot of speed. I think they're going to go pretty fast. Maybe probably too fast for any of the speed horses. I'm back on Safi again on top with psychic ability.
That's my top choice. You can see on the screen there. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just throw out the last race. This horse ran second to our Audio's Jersey, who is like would bury this field completely at Tampa. So the upper performance range is definitely there, and steady work pattern. I think it's going to have the right style for the way the race goes, and it's going to be a big chance. I also would be prominently using number 4, Awesome Anne Marie, who
I agree with you.
also.
This morning line is crazy to me, Marcus. I couldn't believe when I saw this. Are you kidding me?
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Maybe it's the Herbert Miller factor.
I guess the back numbers are fantastic. If she can run anywhere back to her back numbers, and
right?
That last race was off a layoff, and
by
the way, I'm not a fan of that last race, by the way. But go ahead, sorry.
Not at all, but they just gave her a race. I mean, she wasn't in for the tag, and she's not in for the tag now. And, she worked back a pretty sharp half mile. I think they just gave her a race, and she's expected to run better, and I do too.
Huge jockey switch, by the way, too. Huge. That's a big jockey switch.
And then I'm not as deep in this race. I had the 4 and 5 as A's and 1 and 2 as B's. Neither of those horses do I really like, but I do think just on a race flow play and prices, I'm throwing them in.
Okay. Again, folks, we've got some great comments. I've been trying to show some comments on the bottom of the screen, folks, but if you have comments, please show them. Or put them up there. There's the 1 and there's the 2. Both prices, both horses are close. Marcus, I have a very strong opinion in this race, and you already talked about the horse. I'm going to bring us on screen. In the pick 6 sequence, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute, for my pick 6, I'm taking a big stand here, and I say a big stand because the horse is 7-2 morning line. If this is what this race is somewhat wide open, depending on how you look at it. To me, it's not at all. If the 5 runs her race, she should be 8-5 in my opinion. I mean,
if she runs that Tampa race.
I mean, well, I would say even the 1-3 back would might be close to good enough to win this race. I mean, she's been working well. She's got upside. She's got IRAD. There's a ton of intent here. The race that a lot of these horses are coming out of, I don't like at all. I agree. I'm not going to show the replay, but the December 11th race just sort of fell apart. The horse that won for those at home, the 3, there was a hole about the size of Texas.
Yeah,
but the 3 came up the inside. I don't like the 3 at all in this spot.
Me either. Not at all.
There's a lot of horses I don't like, Marcus. I'm singling the 5 in my pick 6. If the 5 loses,
I like it.
I like 80% of my money is going through this 5 in the pick 6. You got to take a stand somewhere, and that's where I'm taking a stand.
It's
How
a
do you
good
feel
one.
about that?
It's a good one. I like it.
I appreciate it. All right, let's go on to race 11. Marcus, you have another 5 minutes. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
We're rolling.
Race 11. This is the closing leg, and boy, Marcus, I thought this was a very tough race. This is the race that I talked about for a minute mistakenly at the beginning. This is a mile turf, restricted 3-year-olds, optional. This is very important, folks, because look at the conditions. Marcus could talk for half an hour about conditions. This is optional 50.
Don't get me
some
started.
of these horses are in for the 50. Some are not. I'm completely, in general, against horses that are in for the tag in these situations. I don't know if you feel the same way. A lot of question marks.
It depends on the horse. It depends on the horse.
Marcus, I put these choices up before I saw the morning lines. I cannot believe some of the morning lines I'm getting this race. I'm either going to be a complete knucklehead or be a real wise guy after you see the morning lines, folks. Who do you like in this race, Marcus?
You got 5 on top?
I do.
That'd be my top pick. That'd be my top pick too.
I love it. Marcus Hersh, you are welcome to come back on the show anytime. Listen, the 5 looks horrible, and he's 15-1. You're the expert.
That horse
I'll
is
let you talk about her.
That horse is not going to be 15-1. Okay.
No.
There's no.
Go
way.
ahead, fire away. Tell the crowd why this horse is going to win for us.
I mean, I think I have concerns about the horse. I think that he might not be any good. But again, he's in against Florida breds and 50 claimers, and he debuted in a real race. I mean, these are the 2 horses that I have as the A's in the earlier straight maiden race that ran 1-2 there. And this horse just stopped. He gets first Lasix. If you watch his works, he has a high head carriage, which is a little bit of a worry, but turf can help with that. I like the way he went. I saw his turf work. That one was on video. I like the way he went on turf. It wasn't beautiful. He was asked to finish, but he traveled pretty nice. looks like he could be a turf horse, at least enough of a turf horse to factor here.
Yeah, he's got the dam was at 1.3 carats was a nice horse that they
it's
didn't
not
run
a slam
much
dunk.
on turf, but they tried to get him on.
Right.
They tried to get her on turf. The siblings,
same.
how about
it's the same. It's not a slam dunk turf pedigree, but there are signs there, right? Yeah.
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, when I saw 15-1, I salivated. I mean, listen, the horse looked horrible in the replay when you watch last race, but that last race was like a grade 1 compared to this race, as you just touched on. Who else do you like, Marcus, in this race?
The other A I had was, I mean, I'm all Safi, I guess, because this first time starter, Sensual Chocolate, who cost quite a bit of money given the pedigree at a breeze up sale in April. The horse has a steady work pattern, and he doesn't have great numbers with first timers going long, but this is a Florida bred, and it looks like the right spot for the horse to get started. I think the horse is fit and ready to show whatever he has. I mean, I'm just kind of like very against the horse I think that could be favored, the Fletcher horse, Gooch Go Bra. His two.
By the way, one of the siblings of the three is the one for 63 Demi-Goddess, trained by Charles Stutz. Remember that horse, Marcus?
No, I don't.
Well, anyway,
Demi-Goddess. I do.
One for 63 in California.
Anyway. But Gooch Go Bra, the two Saratoga turf races, including the With Anticipation, were decent. So why is the horse in for 50 now? Okay,
exactly.
So that I don't like that. And then Clement is dropping Charming Charlie. I like that one better. Clement has actually really good numbers with this move. 8 at Gulfstream too. Main special to main claiming turf routes, especially with more lightly raced horses. I think that horse could be fairly well meant. Who else did I have in the mix here?
Yeah, I've got him in second. I'll throw a crazy. Well, I didn't think it was crazy until I see the morning line. The number 10, who I have in third, Bickle, is getting like major changes. Gelding, first time gelding, Lasix, blinkers off, and this is bred by Glen Hill Farm, and Grat, the dam was a very nice turf horse. I mean, this horse has a ton of turf breeding. I have no idea.
Super usable.
A sibling is Old Time Hockey, who was a nice horse. I mean, I don't know if this horse can run, Marcus, but I'll tell you what, if I'm alive in the pick 6 to this horse, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think this horse is not impossible either.
No, I don't. And the line is not good on this one. I don't see this as a 30-1 shot in this field. I mean, there are 30-1 shots here, but this is more like a 15-1 horse to me. And a horse that I did consider. And since you mentioned him, I'll throw him on my ticket.
Was there any other horses you want to mention before we close out the?
No, I mean this race is like all the things that have been said positively about these horses. Like they have a good chance of not fulfilling that. So if you're really in it to win it, cast a wide net here because this is open to chaos.
Very quickly, and Marcus, we really appreciate you coming on the show and spending this much time. You've been excellent as expected, and we'd love to have you on again. We're the fastest growing racing podcast on YouTube in the country, over 40,000 views this year, and close to 700 subscribers. So we've had a lot of great guests on the show, and we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Well, let me just say that and for your viewers, I've never met you. I've never talked to you before. We kind of did this cold, and I appreciate your super professional and prepared approach. Good conversation, good information, good opinions on your part, and so well done.
I really listen, coming from you, Marcus, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And by the way, I'm going to talk to you off air because I'd love to get some other DRF people on the show. I've had a little trouble getting contact information from a Dan Illman and a few other people. So I'll talk about that off air, but I really, really do appreciate your thoughts. Now that you just threw me a compliment, you can hate my pick 6 with value proposition singled. But again, that's just a smaller caveman pick 6. You can see I've singled value proposition and I singled the 5.
Psychic ability.
Thank you. I think the first race I think the first race, the second race, and the sixth race are complete, absolute spreads. I mean, I don't have strong opinions there, and I've got absolute bombs in the last race, as do you. If I were to play my own caveman ticket, I probably would add, Largent. But my last question to you, for people that are going to play this pick six on Saturday, in your opinion, Marcus, when you have two horses like that are low price, like Value Proposition and Largent, it really doesn't make sense to use both of them, correct? I mean, you're not getting the value at all there. You just got to pick one and go for it, correct?
I agree. Yes, you got to.
If you're going to play a caveman ticket, that's why you play ABC, right? I mean,
well, that can help for sure. I mean,
yeah,
but it's just, I don't know. But your psychic ability is like, I think that's a good horse to single. The horse might get bet down in the win pool, but I don't think you're going to see nearly the same effect in like long multi-race sequences.
No, and you're going to get the parlay. You're going to get a better price because people see 7-2 in the morning line, just like that.
Exactly.
10-1, the 10-1 morning line on the Rail IRAD horse. You and I both know that horse won't be 10-1, but just like in many other sequences, when a horse comes in at a larger morning line, that's going to increase the parlay quite a bit. Marcus, before we let you go, any closing thoughts about Gulfstream on Saturday? I know that's a track that you don't usually cover, so I greatly appreciate you going through the PPs with us. Any other final comments on Gulfstream, Fairgrounds, anything in the Middle East, anything you'll be covering recently? Actually, I'm sorry, I want to ask you one question. It's not a favorites question, but I thought this was a great question to ask you. In 5 years, I see myself writing more about, what do you think?
Oh boy. FanDuel?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fairmont Park?
No, I mean, that's the future of horse racing, huh?
That's what they call Fairmont now. That's a joke about where Illinois racing is headed. I mean, I started out just doing Chicago, New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I think that the time zone thing is always going to be a challenge, but international racing is coming strong all the time. And I'm happy to have, like, obviously I have a lot of domestic responsibilities and can't devote all my energy and resources, but like, if you have a chance to look at Hong Kong and get into it, I think you really find it fascinating. Japan has amazing racing. Australia has really good racing. The European season is always fascinating. I just think that the farther we go along, the more internationalized and globalized the sport is going to become. And I think we'll see that in the way that people who are still following racing in America view things.
I agree with you. I just wish the Hong Kong racing was a little better, time-wise, because it's on very late at night, and I'm an old guy, so it's hard for me to stay up. But
Happy Valley Wednesday mornings.
There you go. Marcus Hersh, I really hope we can hook up in person one day and meet you. I'd really enjoy that. I know I've got your contact info, and I'll be contacting you after the show real quick to get some other information. But any closing thoughts for the fans out there this weekend or anywhere else?
It's a slow weekend. We only got 6 stakes races anywhere, and the cards I looked at weren't awesome, but things are going to start picking up. We got Pegasus World Cup coming up pretty soon, and Fairgrounds is going to have a big stakes day in January. Oaklawn is rounding into form. There's a lot more on the horizon.
Will you be at the Pegasus?
I will not. I'm not a Florida guy. I think I've been to Gulfstream twice, although I am drinking tea out of a Florida Sire Stakes cup.
I've got my casino hat in which I lost a shit ton of money playing Hold'em there, and I'm a decent Hold'em player, but that's all our conversation. Marcus, thanks a lot for coming on the show. We really appreciate
My pleasure.
Stay healthy. Good luck to you, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right.
Take care, Marcus. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Marcus Hersh. What a fantastic job he did. Really appreciate the compliment from him as well. I do the best I can and try to be prepared, and Marcus was a great guest. I look forward to having him on again, as well as some other people from DRF as well. He was a great guest to kick off our 2022 shows, and you can see on the bottom of the screen our next show will be next Thursday. I'll be working on a guest at that time. I've been a little busy since I came back from break with many things, school and family, whatnot. So we'll be working on getting another fantastic guest on the show 1 week from today. And again, I've got to, I got to promote a little bit. That's my job here. If you've not subscribed to the Race Day blog, I really think there's excellent information. Listen, I'm wrong all the time, just like anyone else, but I've given a lot of very good opinions on this blog. And really, I shouldn't, I don't want to, speak about it too much. I think other people who watch this show or who receive the blog can send out tweets. And if you've benefited from the Race Day blog, please feel free to send out information on social media or your thoughts about it or any big scores you've had, because I've given big price shots on there. We've hit a lot of pick fives and pick sixes as well. Again, there's how you can join the Race Day blog. It's very inexpensive. There's also information below the video player in the description on how you can purchase the Race Day blog. Again, I highly recommend you do so. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic, fun, informational episode 105 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck on Saturday in the Pick Six, the mandatory payout at Gulfstream. Take care. Have a great night.